Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We're going to adjourn at 5:10 for closed session. Thank you.
Are you doing the tribal?
So,
Come up with the.
Okay, so I'm gonna go.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
History of Fuller?
Yes.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm kind of curious about the history. We've got a great.
I changed purses because I had a bright red purse and I thought, ooh, I can't do that.
Like it?
That would be the end of the world, right?
Need help with anything else, Emma?
You'd be okay if you had a
No,
Percy.
right?
I mean, I know.
And it's a backpack purse, so I couldn't hide it.
Oh yeah.
It would just be.
Here. Let me go grab it. Let me go grab your sandwich.
Oh, good. Audio mixer.
Peggy a long time ago when she first came to the district.
Can you play some music for me, though?
Oh, okay. Oh, they were. Yeah, Becky's got it. I talked to her before I left.
Bill just got one. I don't know where he got it from. But... Oh, okay. Fine.
Oh, Bill.
Yes,
Oh, but we're live, so the audio check.
Bill, Bob wants to talk. What's the matter? Hello? Can you stand at the podium for me? Can you start the podium up here? Yes, that's good. I know you should. Thank you. Just want to make sure that if you're standing there, it's not blocking. You click the top.
So,
Bill, can you play some music?
should I do a check? I'll just do a check out of the mic.
Oh, okay.
Check. Check.
He's got you muted.
Check. That's, Check.
Mic test. Do you see the bar graph moving?
Yeah.
Can you hear anything on the computer? Oh, you got to unplug that. Can you hear anything from the computer? Can you hear me talking from the computer? Mic test. The quick brown fox jumped over. Can you turn the volume up? Make sure the volume's up. Use the keyboard. Mic test. Can you hear me from the computer now? Can you hear my voice from the computer?
Oh, it looks good. Yeah? Okay. I can hear you.
Wes says he can hear it.
Other Wes?
At home.
Yeah, that's bus service, so.
Mic check.
Nate, can you hear me? Nate? Nate?
Paging Trustee Sugarman. Sorry. This is our first meeting. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. We're going to call to order the open session for the board meeting for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 at 6:10 p.m. Welcome. It's wonderful to see so many people here for our first meeting of 2023. It's my honor to call Amari Sarmiento, a fifth grader from Maple, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone? Yeah, perfect. And microphone.
I pledge. Hello. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. As we begin the new year with all good wishes for everyone, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that maybe the only thing that any of us knows for sure when we're born is that our lives have an end. I'm wearing my Orangethorpe Elementary sweatshirt today in honor of my former principal, Dr. Patrick Backus. He started in the Fullerton School District in 1971, retired in 2003, so for a total of 32 years. He recently passed away. And I would like to ask everyone here, for Dr. Backus or for anyone that you may wish to honor, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Reporting back from closed session, the board took action by a vote of 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement with employee number 5859. And that was all from closed session. We have some recognitions tonight. Dr. Lee, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. President Thakur, Board of Trustees, Dr. Vav Pleka, Executive Cabinet, and our guests. I would like to honor a foundation that works so closely with us to bring something magical in the lives of kids. It's All the Arts for All the Kids Foundation. Not only do we want to recognize our partnership with them, we want to recognize the devotion and the passion. This group of, they've taken up the whole row right here. I was going to take a picture from my seat because it's such a beautiful, beautiful picture. But the amazing work behind the scenes so that our kids can get arts, and it's truly their mission to provide art to all the kids. And it says it right in the title. I want to invite up here Phil Ling, our program coordinator for the arts, up to be able to over there, okay, to take over right now because we're going to go ahead and share with you something very, very special.
All right. Well, good evening. Sorry. Check. Hello. Hello. Hello, there we go. Good evening, President Thakur, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pletka, Executive Cabinet, and guests. Fullerton School District is incredibly fortunate to have a partner in All the Arts Foundation. Over the past 25 years or so, the All the Arts Foundation has partnered with FSD to provide our students with a well-rounded arts education, even in times when schools across the state did not have any arts in their classrooms. Their contribution today, though incredibly impactful, is only one aspect of their support. Their advocacy for the arts, their support for artist educators, and their care for our FSD students has been tremendous. So tonight we're humbled to accept a generous contribution from All the Arts. I want to recognize specifically Mrs. Wendy Lloyd Davis, our president. If you can come on up, that'd be great. Thank you. And Mrs. Kelly Whiteman, our executive director as well, too. These two ladies have been tremendous in their support as thought partners and collaborators. And also, we have tonight from the foundation, Mrs. Lauren Oldfield, Vice President of the foundation. If you can come on up, that'd be great. And join us, please. Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. We have Ms. Sherry Williamson, Secretary of the foundation. Mrs. Sarah Cooper, Foundation Board Member. And also Ms. Terry Orr, Foundation Board Member, and amazing arts team member as well, too. Got to say that. All right.
Well, I don't have to say anything because you said it all, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our board and all my old friends that got me started in some of this stuff. Oh, well, you know what I mean. We just want to thank everyone who supported the arts in all of your different ways. We have lots of teachers here who keep it going for us. We have lots of parents here that have come to our after school and summer, and lots of kids I'm hoping are at our encore programs with the district this year. But what we really came here tonight is to celebrate and be excited about our donation. We wrote a donation amount, total amount of $69,450. Thanks to all of you. The first check is for $46,950, and this is to one class of our 5 in every domain in 313 classrooms throughout the district. We are covering one of 6. Your students have 6 in dance, 6 in music, 6 in visual arts, 6 in theater, and 6 in media arts as the plan goes. And we are covering one of those for every classroom. The second check, make sure we're in order, yes, $12,500. We are covering this next year, I think from now till, February to February, right? Family Arts Nights. Family Art Night is now going to be taken care of by us. We should have one at every school, guys, and we hope to see you there. And this check is for $10,000. This is going towards the Color Shape Numbers Creativity Lab at Valencia Park. It is now set up for Miss Terry Orr, set that up for us, thank you. It is for kindergarten and first. So this will allow us to up some of the grade level stuff to get all of the TKs, Ks, and first grade throughout the district into our classroom. And we hear the sign needs to be updated. So we're hoping there's a little bit in there for that too. Yeah, there you go. And this is actually changed even today. This is our Becky Hall Teachers Grants. We offer a teacher grant to all the teachers throughout Fullerton School District. We had some that needed to be resubmitted, and we got approved today. So this number has gone up. But so far this year, we've written $12,852.17 of Becky Hall teacher grants. So we thank you all for helping us with that. We'd also like to just give a special shout out to our FSD admin that have supported the arts and everything we have tried to accomplish and have accomplished, and the arts team for making the arts a priority. We appreciate it. It's been fun getting to work with everybody this year. Are we good? All right. Thank you.
No, I think we'll take a picture.
Oh, a picture? Okay, I guess we're taking a picture.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's incredible. Thank you so much again. Moving on, we are honoring our 2023 Dream Catchers today. Dr. Bob and Jeremy will take it from here.
Just to say a few words, I once heard that you can tell what a district, an organization values by metaphorically what trophies are in their trophy case. And this one for me means so much, and it really is something that is special. This idea that we have kids that have a passion and a talent and a desire to make a difference in the community, to make a difference in their family, to make a difference with other students at other grade levels. And they're sharing that passion and that interest to have an impact on the world. And I believe that first, each person and every student has a gift and a talent and a passion in a way that no one who's ever come before has had, and no other person will ever have again. And that schools, we are at our best, and our families and our community, when we can help kids discover what that passion is and that thing that makes them special and different, and in some ways, I guess, releases that so that they can be that next generation that makes a difference in the future. I'm so excited to have our dream catchers here. And I think we'll give them, and I hope there's an opportunity over this next year for them to share with others their passion, to share how they've had an impact so that they can inspire somebody else to be a dream catcher. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Davis.
Okay. All right, so first off, we wanted to show a video that has been playing in some of your local theaters. So if some of you have gone to movies recently in Fullerton or Brea or Yorba Linda, you might have seen this actually as a trailer before your movie. You might have been like, what is that? And I'll tell you in a moment. So Anna, if you could go ahead. So the Dreamcatcher Initiative highlights students who are taking their learning beyond the classroom to make an impact in their community. So Fullerton School District highlights students who've shown some kind of dynamic skills in identifying and putting their dreams into some kind of tangible action. Dreamcatchers can also be students who are making a difference in their community. Any staff member, certificated or classified, can nominate a student to be recognized. Any student in grades 4th through 7th can be nominated as an FSD Dreamcatcher. Over the years, we've expanded the program so all nominated students receive a recognition. And we also have expanded the program to include a site Dreamcatcher, so that all of our nominations for each school site, one nomination is recognized as that site's Dreamcatcher. The top 8 to 10 students are selected by our district's communication committee to be featured on a special poster, which you see behind you if you want a photo op later. I'll step and repeat. And we work with our local theaters to run our 30-second movie clip before movies as a way to sort of highlight what our students are accomplishing in Fullerton. So we are committed to recognizing our amazing FSD students to go above and beyond in making their dreams a reality. I'm going to be calling them up one at a time to receive their certificates. So when you hear your name, I do have a bio. And so I want to tell you a little bit about our students as they come up to receive their certificate. So our first is I'm going to also apologize right now if I do not say a name correctly. I'm just going to roll with it. If you want to correct me, feel free, because we are on camera for YouTube. And if you want to say, hold on, let me tell you how to say my last name, you correct me right away, right? I have no problems with that. So please, if I'm wrong, tell me. Karis Bueller, 7th grader from Beechwood, right up in front. Okay, so you're going to head right over there. Karis is passionate about soccer. She started the sport at 3 years old and now plays in an exclusive girls soccer club. Her team recently ranked #1 in their elite club's national league and is currently ranked #2 in the nation for their age group. Karis has been invited to participate in the Olympic development program for elite players to train and compete. Karis dreams to play professional soccer one day and was recently invited by the U.S. Youth National Team to their identification center in Los Angeles, a huge honor for young soccer players. Not only does Karis excel in soccer, she is also a strong student and has a caring heart. Karis has traveled to other countries for service projects to help younger orphan children. Karis will undoubtedly succeed in whatever she dreams because she possesses a determination to never stop learning and improve herself in whatever she does. So a round of applause for Karis, please. All right, next, and again, when I call your name, please head over to President Takur for your certificate. Viviana Kim, 7th grader from Fistler. Okay. Someone who used to be very shy has now found confidence in speaking through 3 years in speech and debate. Viviana has gained confidence and believes she can conquer anything and can really make an impact in her community by speaking up and standing up for what she believes in, traits she has gained through her 3 years in speech and debate. Vivian is also an advocate for animal welfare and volunteers at her local veterinary hospital to provide care for sick animals. Viviana is an academic scholar, plays violin, participates in speech and debate, volunteers her time for animal welfare, and has successfully transitioned from a very shy girl by following her passions. Delilah Hamlin, 7th grader at Ladera Vista Junior High School. All right. Delilah has a dream to start a nonprofit organization where 100% of the proceeds go to help finding a cure for children fighting cancer. Delilah's brother was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago, and she started to learn about different organizations that support children and families with cancer. I am so sorry. I just realized we have translators that are trying to keep up with me. I'm going to slow down just a bit. I am sorry, ladies behind the, oh my gosh. I was just blazing through like high speed. Sorry. Okay, I will slow down. Delilah volunteers with different organizations in an effort to help families of children with cancer. Delilah saw firsthand with her brother how painful treatments were, the nausea, pain, and allergic reactions, and took that as her calling to enact change, a cure for childhood cancer. Delilah aspires to change the world with a cure for cancer and hopes to accomplish this through her own nonprofit organization. Thank you, Delilah. All right, Daniel Fishman, 7th grade, Nicholas Junior High School. Okay. All right, Daniel is studious, punctual, and completes his school and homework. He is resilient, hardworking, responsible, and shows great care in his studies. Daniel is always the first and oftentimes only student to ask about completing homework in his class. He shows great interest, enjoyment, and talent in his woodshop elective class. Daniel is a resilient child who sets an example for others and who is a pleasure to watch as he continues to learn and excel in his woodshop passion. Thank you, Daniel. All right, James Hahn, 7th grade, Parks Junior High School. Okay. All right, James is not here tonight, but I will read his bio. Okay, Jimmy has been an avid Lego builder for 6 years and founded and runs a Lego business established over a year ago. He actively works to grow his Lego business and expand it to Bricklink, the largest fan-run Lego online marketplace, or eBay. James' passion with Legos has expanded to include entrepreneurship. Great job, Jimmy. All right. Okay. Whammy Winters, 6th grade, Golden Hill School. Whammy is an entrepreneur at heart. He has created multiple small businesses throughout the Golden Hill community. Whammy works to collect food donations for shelters and local churches. Whammy is the president of the Golden Hill Student Council and has devoted his life up to this point to the service of others. Thank you, Whammy. Sarah Serbon, 5th grade, Woodcrest School. Sarah is an active student at Woodcrest School and is also involved in several community activities. Not only does Sarah act and sing, she also plays the piano and won first place in a local painting contest. Sarah loves trying new things, and she is now the anchor for the new Woodcrest Student News Channel to help promote local key figures and school events. Sarah is very outgoing and an active student that loves trying new things and expanding her skills. Great job, Sarah. Okay. Amari Sarmiento, 5th grade at Maple. Amari always strives to give back to others. She continuously shows random acts of kindness. Amari is inclusive thoughtful, kind, and humble. She has a positive attitude about school and life. Amari has always wished and asked for family and friends to donate to her community on her birthdays. One year, she gathered her family to make blessing bags for the homeless. Another year, she gave back to a youth shelter. And another year, she gathered and donated items for an animal shelter. Aside from Amari's kind and giving heart, she has also developed a passion for basketball and is one of the program's top rebounders. Amari has no fear when going after her dreams, and once she sets her mind to accomplish a goal, she works hard to achieve it and maintains a positive attitude while pushing herself to greatness. She will grow up to be an amazing leader and change people's lives because she is already doing it. Great job, Amari. Andrew Wilson, 5th grade from Orangethorpe. Andrew is passionate about serving the community and his commitment to the Boy Scouts. Andrew volunteers his time at school and by making the community a better place by completing projects around Fullerton. He has led the school in the pledge to honor 9/11 victims, participate in park cleanups, help the homeless by providing food, water, blankets, and has achieved the Arrow of Light ranking, which is the highest level in Cub Scouts. Andrew's passion for serving the community helps everyone in Fullerton. Thank you, Andrew. And Damian Vargas, 3rd grader at Commonwealth. Okay. Damian makes it his mission to joyfully reach out to others whenever he sees that they are in need of help or support. His compassion and empathy demonstrate wonderful, humble examples of kindness to those around him. These qualities come from a strong commitment to his family. His mother developed a large brain tumor when Damian was an infant, which resulted in a seizure, coma, and ultimately brain damage, speech loss, and muscle paralysis. Damian's mother worked hard to regain some abilities, and Damian learned how to care for his mother by watching his grandmother provide care. When Damian's grandmother became unable to provide care, Damian stepped in to help and is now his mother's primary caregiver. He also takes on other responsibilities that help keep the house running to help his father and brothers. Damian has an exorbitant amount of empathy for others and is a great friend to all. His positive attitude and outlook on life is one everyone should follow. So I believe we would like to get a picture with our board members and Dr. Pletka. So if you all could stay right there, let's give one big round of applause to all of our dream catchers. If our board members want to come around up front for a few pictures. Do they need to? Yeah. Let's go ahead and squeeze. Yeah, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Parents, everybody get one? All right. Excellent. Thank you all so much. Congratulations, students. Great job. What was that? Cupcakes, yes. Thank you. Always. It's just so Dreamcatchers, please get yourself a cupcake over there where Mr. Bill Lynch and Miss Pam Chow are standing. And Dreamcatchers and families, even though we know you might be interested in staying for the entire meeting, you probably have some homework. So if you'd rather head on out the door to get that homework done, you are welcome to do that.
let's take a 2 minutes, a 2-minute break, please.
You can take a picture or whatever, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Sorry. There's seats in the front row, by the way, everyone. It's the splash zone. All right. That was wonderful. We're moving on here to reports. We'll begin with Dr. Pletka's report.
So I'm going to tag team a little bit with Julian on this one. And I wanted to start off to say we recognize different schools for different things on different days. And so I feel really proud of our schools. I really feel proud of our staff. And I could literally, for each school, highlight different things. Tonight, we want to highlight the distinguished schools. We have 6 schools that are being honored, 6 elementary schools. And just to kind of give like how big of a deal this is, there are only 6% of elementary schools that receive Distinguished School this year. We have 35% of our elementary schools receive the award. Yeah. Just to add in, there are many, many, many districts that have some cases double, triple, 10 times the number of schools. There are only two school districts in the entire state that had more schools, elementary schools identified, and that includes large districts like San Francisco, Sacramento. Just to say that we were represented by really good people being recognized at a state level for this award. And there was no other district in Orange County that had more elementary schools identified. And that's just really because of all of you. And it's because of the staff, and it's because of a good board. It's because of really good classified employees that work lifeblood. It's for every teacher that works longer and hours after, every teacher who's committed and dedicated, and we have so many. And we have, and I have a big shout out to all our principals. We have our principals here. So just to say that we really have a great team, and I think it's well represented. So Julie, you want to share a few other things?
Yes, I'm here to tell you a little bit about California Distinguished Schools and its program. It was established in 1985 and recognizes schools that demonstrate exemplary achievements. The California Distinguished School Program recognizes elementary and middle school and high schools in alternative years. The schools recognized as California Distinguished Schools hold the title for 2 years. California uses a multiple measures accountability system to identify eligible schools based on their performance and progress on the state indicators as specified on the California School Dashboard. And coincidentally enough, we have a presentation on that tonight. It's specifically in the areas of ELA, English Language Arts, math, suspension rates, and chronic absenteeism. In 2023, California recognized 356 exceptional elementary schools out of 5,872 public elementary schools in California. The Fullerton School District outperformed ourselves with a total of 6. As mentioned, as Dr. Bob mentioned, that is 6% of schools in California and 35% of our elementary schools. And we believe this is a Fullerton first. There will be a special night on February 16th at Disneyland Hotel recognizing our schools and a future board meeting where we can all celebrate. Join me in a round of applause for Acacia Elementary School, Beechwood K-8 School, Hermosa Drive Elementary School, Robert C. Fissler K-8, Laguna Road Elementary, and Sunset Lane Elementary.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our principals for being here tonight as well. Information from the Board of Trustees. Trustee Hanchett.
Okay, I get to start it off. Hello, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. I know we celebrated MLK Day yesterday, and I was really excited to see some of the resources that our teachers had access to and our ways that our kids were celebrating the day in lots of creative ways, celebrating the man as well as the movement. I know that we don't have to look very far from our news cycle to see that this work is still so important to our community. And I was thinking about how I had a chance to visit Dr. King's birthplace in Atlanta and his home and his church, and that was one of the most significant experiences of my life. And when I think back about what I learned, the overall feeling I have is this deep sense of pride and rootedness from what I learned was his experience of growing up in an excellent, thriving, economic, and vibrant culture and spiritual community. And I think I came in expecting to see the injustice and the deficits, but instead what I saw was this beautiful expression that has surprised me of joy, deep care, and love and pride that his community gave him. I saw the assets that he grew up with. And I was thinking about the assets of our community too, and how we are striving at FSD to see and recognize and respect these assets that our kids come with, the communities they come from, and to root our children in this deep sense of belonging and pride and worthiness and joy, to know that their families matter, their communities and cultures matter, that they're worthy of dignity, and we recognize that and we see the attributes and the contributions that they make. So I know that that's what we want to value. I appreciate that about our schools, and I appreciate that we're working to build that in our own kids, to recognize the contribution they have to make to their community. So I got to see some of that this last month. I got to see Sunset Lane's performance of The Jungle Book. I got to see the theatrical performance of Orangethorpe's multi-age class that wrote original plays and then were acted out by high school students. So I want to thank, again, we saw all the arts, the contribution that they're making to our schools, and our amazing teachers that are just encouraging our kids in these creative expressions, and I really value that. It was a delight to be a part of that. And my family's been participating in the Galactic Reading Challenge, so I want to thank our partners in the community for doing that work, for coming alongside us to encourage our kids to love literature and reading. And just as I've mentioned before, but as a reminder, this month, January, is Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. So I know that we as as educators and our community and parents ourselves, we want to be aware of this issue as well as teach our kids, because unfortunately human trafficking and exploitation is something that preys upon their vulnerability. So we know that a quarter of all victims of human trafficking are children, are minors, and so it's our job to learn about these issues and to engage our kids in what they can do to stay safe. So I'm really excited that tomorrow, all 5 of our junior highs and K-8 schools are going to be participating in an event that'll be hosted at Cal State Fullerton by the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force, where they will learn about human trafficking and especially how young people can keep themselves and their peers safe.
Thank you, Trustee Hanchett. Before we continue, Dr. Pletka, was there something that you wanted to add?
Yes, I blew it already. I'm very excited. This was my second thing that was supposed to be announced. We have Lindy McNutt, who is now our newest principal of Rolling Hills. Would you like to introduce your family? Come on up. Yes, please.
First mistake he's made this year.
Tonight.
I will use my outside voice. This is why y'all hired me, right? This is my husband, Brian. My very shy daughter, Autumn. She is a first grader at Beechwood. And my son, Connor, who is... Oh, for the translators. I'm so sorry. I will do it again. My husband, Brian. My daughter, Autumn, who is a first grader at Beechwood, and my son, Connor, who will be a kindergartner there, hopefully, next year. So thank you. I'm really excited. I've spent a week at Rolling Hills already, and it has been amazing. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Congratulations, and again, welcome. Trustee Sugarman.
Happy New Year, everyone. Glad to see you all here tonight. It's so nice to come back and see all your friends. It's just great. A whole bunch of things, but quick things. First, I want to thank our president for taking a moment for Pat Backus. He was a very dear friend of mine. He took me under his wing when I first came on this board, and he showed me a lot of programs that were at Orangethorpe that have never gone to any other schools. It was really special. And for those of you who don't know, at that time, distinguished school honors were given to schools in the inner city, and Orangethorpe won the award, and Dr. Backus represented Fullerton School District to many schools across the country, where he brought back programs and where he evaluated them to be distinguished schools, and it was really nice. He was a very smart, wonderful man all the way to the end, and kind, with a very optimistic look on life. And optimism is what gets people through everything. We saw that during the pandemic. Optimism. I want to give, I do hope that all of you made some wonderful memories during the holidays, because it not only is a wonderful time to regenerate your body and to reconnect with all those you love, but to take a moment and count your blessings and make a memory to keep you in the future. Thank you to all the arts for all the money they've donated to our school over all these years, because it really has made a difference in our schools. And the result is we have Ladera Vista, we have Golden Hill, two schools that really focus on arts and the spirit of bringing arts in all curriculum, which is a wonderful way for many different learners to learn, and that's awesome. So thank them. And congratulations to our dream catchers and to our 6 schools. Those are all just wonderful events. We know the power of people giving money to support our schools. It's not just the dollars that bring in possibilities that wouldn't be open to classrooms and schools and the district, but it's also the sense of community that donations bring into schools and the camaraderie of people getting together to go to events, to donate money. With that spirit in mind, isn't that a great intro? Okay, April 10th, we have a golf tournament coming up for the Fullerton Education Foundation. If you play golf, come and play golf. If you don't play golf, come and play golf. We have all sorts of little tournaments. The only thing I want to tell you that if you don't play golf a lot, but you like to do miniature golf, we have a putting tournament where you can win bottles of things that you have to be over 21 to win. And I will tell you that the expert on this is Dr. Chad Hammett. He won so much last year, they had to bring a truck, and he had to get a retail license to go home with everything. It ricocheted, and I hear he got 72 bottles of things from ricochets. Anyway, please think of joining us April 10th. As time goes on, you know I'll give you more information. And again, welcome back to this wonderful new year, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Berryman?
All right. Oh, welcome and thank you guys for coming. And Happy New Year, right? I mean, I think it's the first meeting of the new year. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like we were here yesterday. It makes my heart happy to see our dream catchers, to be able to identify, as Ruthie said, assets for our kids, and to be able to see that there are kids that are really being recognized for having passions that are different, that aren't always the same, and to be able to have their pictures up and to build that confidence in them. So listen to the young lady that was shy and now is not as shy anymore, and just to see them come out of their shells, to have confidence that they can do things. So for me, just this board meeting and being able to identify those students and have them come up here just means a lot. I did want to mention we lost another person in our district over the holiday season, Shirley McClanahan, who was, I just think, the heart and soul of the Leon Owens Foundation, passed away as well during that time. So again, thoughts and prayers. It just leads you to believe, and shows you that life is short, and that you could see a person one day and then not the next day. So I do want to recognize her as well. So I think that's it for my report tonight.
Trustee Talavera?
Also, Happy New Year to everyone as well, and super excited to be able to recognize our dream catchers this year again, to what a lot of my fellow trustees have mentioned. We're a unique district in the sense that we have the opportunity to be able to highlight and recognize those students for those achievements that they do, not just within the classroom, but also outside of the classroom as well too. Also, congratulations again to the 6 schools being recognized. And I just think it's a good opportunity also to kind of reflect, again, new year, maybe not a new start, but maybe continuing all the goods that we've been doing moving forward as a district, and hoping to build on a little bit more on that moving forward. So I'll keep it kind of short and just so we can get this meeting going. But appreciate everyone being here today.
Thank you. Just joining along with all of my colleagues, but the thing that's occupying my mind right now is we have a 6th grader in our family who is at camp. And I can't remember when I went to camp thinking even for 1 second how my parents must have felt. It's tough. But what a wonderful district we have that, you know, you can drop your children off and pick them up in a few days and you know that they're going to be well cared for and fed and just learning and having the time of their lives. We have an 8th grader. I think our collaboration with our high school district is wonderful. I feel the connectedness, and you know, we're just one stop on our young people's lives, but we do the best while they're here, and it's just you know, I've seen it from both sides now, and it's wonderful. So we'll go ahead and continue with the meeting. Thank you. Up next, we have public comments. Oh no, I'm sorry. We have our information from our associates. Do we have a DLAC report tonight?
Hello? President Thakor, I'm going to be reading on behalf of DLAC.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Thakor, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Pletka, Executive Cabinet, and all families present and listening. Happy New Year to everyone. DLAC Group invites you to our next meeting on February 17th at 9 o'clock at Byrne Drive. We would like to thank Dr. Julian Lee, Dr. Linda Soltero Ruiz, and the Educational Services team for their continued support in meeting all our children's needs. Sincerely, Iglith Nunsi, DLAC President.
Thank you. Do we have a PTA report?
We do not have a PTA report tonight.
All right, moving on. CSEA, please.
Good evening. President Thakor, board members, cabinet, and community members. Happy New Year wishes from CSEA. I'm Sherry Williamson, the Chapter 130 Communications Officer reporting. Last month, Chapter 130 was thrilled to help an FSD family in great need this year at Pacific Drive. I was honored to swear in Sarah Kelman to the Personnel Commission as our nominee from CSEA last month. I personally will be attending the CSEA Union Steward Southern Summit later this month. We're planning to send over 20 employees, this is the new high number, to the CSEA Paraeducator Conference this year in Ontario, so we're excited about that. CSEA Area H Officer inductions are later this month, and we're happy that Dr. Hammett and Sarah are joining us for the ceremonies in Buena Park. Finally, what we hope will be the first annual Classified Professional Development Day, which was a joint planning effort between district and chapter leadership, was held January 9th, and it was a big success. I wanted to thank personally Assistant Superintendent Jeremy Davis for believing in, for persisting, and for making this day happen. Kudos also go to the many IIS staff, who helped with the logistics, provided Zoom webinar support, and taught a few of the classes even. So thank you.
Thank you very much. FETA?
Good evening. First of all, those dream catchers always get me. I saw you crying, Bev, so I was right there with you. Congratulations to the California Distinguished School winners. That's awesome. Good evening, President Thakor, members of the board, Dr. Pletka, and Cabinet. We hope that you all had wonderful holidays with your family and friends. I had the opportunity to visit many sites in December. It was a full schedule. I started with the co-teach classrooms at Hermosa Drive. I saw Pamela Zanell, Candace Wilson, Ariel Cardenas, and Stephanie Hitz. What a great opportunity for students to learn with each other through this unique program that values differences in learning styles. Jim Rogers, CTA Executive Director, joined me in visiting Jessel Contreras' first grade class and Audrey Hodges' fourth grade class at Rolling Hills. Jim and I even had the opportunity to read to Jessel's class. I think we entertained the adults in the room more than the students, but it was very fun. We also got to chat with Wesley. which is always fun. Thisler was in full swing with their holiday show practice, which was a wonderful celebration of diversity. Cynthia Round's classroom is always amazing to see, and all the engaging activities that she does for her students. We snuck over to Commonwealth, I forgot to tell Jean, to visit Allison Stanley and Amy Pendleton's class, special day classes. The students were enjoying the OT room equipment with smiles on their faces. Jim and I finished with Ladera Vista. We were invited to the annual holiday cookie competition by Kristen Montoya, and we were also able to visit with Andy Montoya. Dr. Pleck and I had our second coffee with the superintendent president get-together. These open discussions are so valuable. The members who attend come with both great input and problem-solving ideas. We appreciate and value this time. Thank you, Dr. Pletka, for committing to this. I also want to thank Cynthia Rounds, Julie Sanchez, Beth Zollner, Megan Hansen, Dolph Petrus, Vanessa Rosas, Brenda Campos, Shannon Glassby, Shoshana Levin, and Jaime Park, who were able to join us for this. Thank you to Student Support Services and Dr. Hammett for the new Annie CPR dolls. They are greatly appreciated, especially since the recent news has been reporting on the importance of CPR training. We at FETA are still interested in having concerns heard regarding challenging behaviors in the classrooms. We know that time is busy both at school sites and at the district office. However, it is starting to get even busier, but the concerns are still there. We look forward to meeting to discuss ideas that will support both our students and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a report from FESMA this evening?
Good evening, President Takor, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pletka, and Executive Cabinet and the community. On behalf of the Fullerton Elementary School Management Association, happy, healthy New Year to everybody. I have a brief report, but I'm excited to announce that we will be having our annual Every Student Succeeding celebration January 26th at Ladera Vista Junior High School. And this is a really special event sponsored by Fullerton Elementary School Management Association in partnership with AXA, where we take time to honor one especially hard-working student from each of our schools who's been nominated by the team. And these students have overcome incredible challenges and adversity to be wonderful, caring students, dedicated to their academics and wonderful citizens. So we are excited to have this celebration coming up and hope to see you there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Hammett, do we have a presentation coming up? This will be information from Classified Human Resources, correct? Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hammett. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Paul Dinas. I'm the director in the Classified Human Resources Office. So thank you, President Tharkor, board, cabinet, colleagues, public, family. Excited to see you all, and happy that you get to hear some good news from Classified HR. We have a new CSEA appointee to our 3-person personnel commission, and that is Ms. Sarah Kelman. We give her a round of applause. Sarah Kelman was appointed to the Personnel Commission by CSEA on December of 2022 this year. Her term is 3 years and is set to expire on December 1st of 2025. Ms. Kelman has been a Fullerton resident since 2008. Her daughter attended Rolling Hills Elementary and currently attends Parks Junior High. Sarah earned her undergraduate degree from the University of Georgia, a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin, and a law degree from the University of Georgia. After law school, Ms. Kelman practiced labor and employment law for a federal agency under the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Since 2007, she has written legal practice guides on an array of subjects, including employment law. In addition to writing, Ms. Kelman has been a member of the part-time faculty at Cal State University Fullerton since 2011. Ms. Kelman also volunteers with the Girl Scouts of Orange County. And we in the Classified HR Office and Personnel Commission are very excited to welcome her to our Personnel Commission. Thank you.
Ms. Kelman, would you like to say a few words? No? All right, welcome. Thank you very much. All right, moving on, Personnel Commission report, please. Thank you, Mr. Dinas.
And you get me for this as well.
Okay.
And so you'll be able to see Sarah in action once a month as the commission meets every month on Zoom, and it's open to the public, so you're all always welcome. All right. I promised Dr. Chad I would make this brief, so here it goes. First of all, what is the Personnel Commission? So in case you're unaware or hearing that for the first time, the Personnel Commission is a three-bodied or three-person commission that oversees the classified hiring and retention processes, as well as the classification or job descriptions that are developed, as well as the compensation structures for classified employees of the school district. That three-person commission is one appointee from the Board of Education. That appointee is Mr. Tommy Remeninski. He lives here in Fullerton, which is the main thing that you have to do to be a part of the commission. But he is a retired telecom supervisor from Newport Mesa Unified School District. Our CSEA appointee you just met, Ms. Sarah Kelman. And then we have a joint appointee from those two, and that is Dr. Alexis Norman. And she currently works as the Assistant Superintendent of HR at Whittier City School District. So we have an amazing commission right now, and I look forward to the work that they will do moving forward. They do meet monthly, and what they do is essentially approve all of our classified hires, our processes associated with that. If anybody's interested in all the ed code that outlines how we do that, let me know. Stop by sometime, and we can geek out together on it, as I absolutely do love it. But those are public meetings. Again, you're always all welcome. Every year what we do is we bring our Personnel Commission report to the board so that you can see what we're doing, ask any questions of me, and make sure that we're staying on track to achieve your mission and vision in this district as well. What we do is outline all of the actions that we've done in the previous fiscal year, so we have that attached to the agenda for you to review. Just some highlights that I'd like to point out. We have almost 900 classified employees that serve the Fullerton School District. 25% of these classified employees have been here for 10 plus years. One thing that I also thought was very complimentary of our school district was that our promotions from last fiscal year to this last fiscal year doubled. So a lot of things have been happening in our industry and our world that have created a lot of career ladder moves for folks. So nice to see that the employees of Fullerton are gaining from that as well. And then finally, just to compliment the HR staff that works in my office, as they work extremely, extremely hard. They're a small group, but they are a mighty group. They processed over 4,000 employment applications for classified employees in the last fiscal year. They hired 250 employees. That includes substitutes as well as classified permanent hires that fiscal year. And just to give you an idea of where we're at this fiscal year, we've already hired 330 new employees, and we still have 5.5 months to go in the fiscal year. So they are fantastic at producing for you and finding quality employees and keeping them here. So I just want to thank them and give them a round of applause if we could. And I will open it up to any questions that you might have regarding the report or anything commission related.
Are numbers growing? Is that 900 plus 200 plus 350, I think? Is there turnover as well, or are we growing our ranks as well?
A little of both. So there is growth in different departments as a whole, but there is a turnover as well. So a lot of our jobs people use as an avenue into teaching or different educational fields.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions from Mr.
No,
Davis?
I just have a comment. Thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you, department, for all of what they are doing. Watching all the job fairs that you guys have been doing, being creative with that and trying to figure out a different way to recruit has been phenomenal. So we appreciate the fact that you guys are working so hard to do that. What are your biggest challenges right now?
Biggest challenge I'd say is finding instructional aides and instructional aides that want to work in special education.
Right.
So we continue to search it out. We're hiring lots of people, but it is a challenging one right there.
Thank you.
Paul, if somebody's interested in an instructional aid position, what should they do?
They should come directly to my office so we can hire them on the spot.
On the spot.
No, they can definitely find my contact or our team's information on the website and reach out to us so we can point them in the right direction on Adjournment to apply, and we'll help make that as simple as possible. We do have a dedicated intern in our office that his sole mission is to help people apply and get through that process much easier.
And I was going to say, what is your couple words on why people would come to Fullerton School District?
Why not? This place is fantastic. I've enjoyed my short 2 years here. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's collaborative. I can't say enough positive things about the board. When I go to conferences, sometimes there's tension when people talk about personnel commissions and districts, and I get to brag and say how great ours is here, as well as all of the positive relationships with our unions as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you too for all the work. I think about all the staff that do so much, that just add so much to our community. And I know when I walk on a campus, when my kids are at, the person who greets us, the people who are on the playground, in classrooms, they really make it such an important environment and have such an impact on our kids. I think about a playground teacher that I had growing up in elementary school, Mrs. Woody, and the difference she made in my life. So I want to thank you for doing that good work with our staff and for all the people that are doing that work.
Thank you.
Welcome to Sarah. We're really glad to have you. Your credentials are incredible. Thank you.
And just
so people know, she's working for free for us. And that's incredible. Thank you.
Just a shout out to Paul. Those of you who've had a chance to meet him, how about a nice round of applause? Incredibly, first of all, empathetic. Somebody that really does connect, takes time to listen, takes time with employees, and so I think that's one of his hallmarks. But in addition to being a great listener and being somebody that truly is empathetic, he's also someone, a man of action, and when he sees a problem, attacks that and solves it. The Great Resignation is a real thing, and it is a real thing, and it's hard to get employees and recruit employees. And Paul has come up with all kinds of ideas. I mean, literally having monthly job fairs. Almost unheard of. So thank you, Paul, for that. A whole new program to try to build connections with our instructional aides and trying to build community. He created also, he's pretty techie as well, this spreadsheet of instructional aides at every site. And he's been tracking that whole piece too. So just to say that we're very fortunate also to have Paul. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comments tonight? I didn't receive any cards.
We do not have any public comments tonight.
Great. I'm not going to read the statement then. We'll move on to Section 8. We don't have any minutes from December 13th, right? Correct. Okay. We're moving on to, I guess we'll carry that item over to the next meeting, and we'll have 2 sets of minutes that night. We have the agenda before us. Any changes? We're going to have, Trustee Hanchett?
I just wanted to make a couple of comments on the consent items that we have before we, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think we can do that on the
Jumped
next
ahead.
one. We'll have an
Got it.
opportunity. Did we, Dr. Lee, were we going to make a change to the?
We were going to address one of the consent items, which is school site plan.
Okay, so. Yeah, I don't think we need to pull it, but yeah, well, can I have a motion to approve the agenda since there are no changes at this time?
I move to approve the agenda as listed.
Second?
A second.
All right, moved by Trustee Berryman, seconded by Trustee Talavera. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Dr. Lee. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Hanchett. Was there?
Yeah, do you want me to mention those things that I wanted to draw attention to?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, because normally consent agenda, I'm learning these things, we just approve and it goes through and the public doesn't get a chance to really hear the individual items if we don't bring it up. So I just wanted to draw some attention to a few of the items that I thought were really remarkable. One was consent item P, which is this, what I think is a really innovative and positive model where we saw that based on student voice, students that were part of an OC United after-school program said that they wanted some differences in their meals. They wanted something hot and tasty, so with the support of Caleb Parker at the OC United, they supported the students to use their voice and find a solution with FSD, and they chose a local business. So we've got some new business coming in, regular income from a local community, but I think it's really important that, public education, we not only provide good nutrition, but we are teaching kids healthy habits about eating, and I love that this gave the students an opportunity to choose less processed packaged foods, but really have something hot and that they liked. But I really love the fact that it came out of student voice and choice. And it was because they used their voice and advocated that we have this change with Flame Broiler now making deliveries. So I wanted to highlight that. I think it's really a great example. And then the other is all the way down to consent item number Z, which I'm going to approve. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed listening to the school site plans, and I know we're going to talk about that. So should I save my comments for the discussion on that?
Just to introduce it?
Yep, that'd be great.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you, Trustee Hanchett.
So should we wait until after for the rest of
Yeah,
it?
Dr. Lee, do you want us to go ahead and approve? Or no, we'll make the motion after.
Well,
Am I going
should
out
we comment on anything else before Wednesday?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Any other comments?
comments?
From
I also wanted to point out 1W where, again, we're working with OC United and the Gilbert Center. I know they had a challenge on getting the Nicholas and Parks students to their center after school. And so by bringing that to the attention of JD and saying, what can we do, we made that happen. So we truly appreciate the fact that we are transporting students to that center. So I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on the consent calendar?
Of course, I want to comment on the gifts to our school district. And this month, people must have been very generous and warm-hearted as a
Before the end of the year, they had to put in
holiday,
their money.
Because
Oh, did I
this
say that out
month
loud?
we had $154,778.96 donated to our schools for various things. And some of them are anonymous partners, and some of them are parents who their children are in a specific program like after school sports, and they wanted to be sure that the equipment and the availability of what was needed was there, and they donated. And it's just a plethora of people everywhere, from little bits of money, $50, to from all the arts, I think it was $69,450. So you are all making a huge difference, and if one looks at all the different schools that received funds, you'll see that there is a wide variety of schools, and that's really nice. And of course, the superintendent's office got a few dollars too. And we're happy because you use your money very well. So thank you. So thank you to all the people who donated, and I hope next month it's even a bigger number.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on consent? All right, Dr. Lee.
Thank you. Annually, the school plans for student achievement, which we call SPSA, there's another acronym, right, are presented to the board for final review to ensure that the SPSA process was followed. All SPSAs are aligned with FSD's LCAP goals, the Board of Trustee goals, and district initiatives. SPSAs are developed through each school site stakeholder groups. They are audited annually at the district level to ensure that the process is followed and meets both federal and state requirements per Ed Code 64001, which includes the following: a needs assessment and analysis of data, action strategies, initiatives, and interventions to address school goals and approved by the school site council, input from advisory committees such as leadership teams and ELAC. Principals need to make sure funding is aligned to the goals, and the school site council approves the final draft. Each school site council and ELAC, which is the English Language Advisory Committees, have reviewed the SPSAs, and each school site's SPSA has been formally approved and signed by school site council. And I'm happy to confirm that all 21 principals have told the district department that the process was successfully completed. And this is a big kudos to the leadership of Dr. Arlinda Sortero Ruiz, who has organized and facilitated, reviewed, put together, made sure that all compliance are followed. It took a lot of work from her and her team. So I just want to give her a round of applause, but a round of applause to all of the school sites. This is a huge process. And principals in the room, I mean, you lock your office doors for very few times in the school year, and this is one I recall those days. But the site plans, if you haven't seen, just the executive summaries put together alone is a novel. And thank you so much for our copy center, who does a fabulous job in putting that together in a book form. But I do want to open up this to the board. If you have any comments you would like to share, questions, this would be a great time. We have all the principals in the room tonight.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the board? Yes, Trustee Sugarman.
I have a lot of comments. I found this new format exciting to read and easy to read, and I loved it. But most of all, I found some very new and exciting things in different schools' presentations. And so I made a list. I'm not naming schools, but I'm going to read the list of some of the things I thought were awesome. And some of you may learn of things your colleagues are doing that you didn't know about, and you could steal it. Feel free. So, okay, and there's no order of preference on this list. It's just as I went through, okay? Some sites have teachers that meet 8 times a month in a PLC. Remarkable. Others also have met vertically to better sequence teaching and learning in PLCs. Schools are mentioning the importance of PE for learning and overall good health and how that provides better teaching and learning. Schools are talking about the beauty and cleanliness of their sites, which reflects their partnership with all their classified employees. Important acknowledgments of principals being visible and available was mentioned. We can't help but agree with that. Schools need RTI and social service help for students, staff, and entire families. Government dollars and foundation or PTAs make this happen. I read about the importance of field trips to enhance learning and make school fun. Coupled with that, many sites discussed how they plan to improve student attendance. Well, maybe those field trips will help with that. One site listed the cost they were directing for site money to each of their focus areas. I really liked that. It visibly showed me the costs and importance each area held, and I had never seen that before. Schools are offering a plethora of parent education programs, many with babysitting. They are also offering PE for parents. That was the first time I've ever seen that. Parent university workshops, student health and awareness classes for parents, digital citizenship, and internet safety. We really need that, huh? Many lunch bunch groups. I want to commend one school that lets all students bring home student devices. That promotes equity. And thank you. Seeking out parents and promoting involvement was mentioned by many of the schools. Having parents welcome others to meetings and events was a nice touch that several of the schools offered. After-school opportunities are being offered now in some places for choir and drones. Maybe lots of places, but there were only a couple that mentioned choir and drones. Cultivating student learning styles by their teachers. Digital weekly staff newspaper. That was really sort of nice. And under that same heading, a school mentioned that they invite their classified employees into their meetings for them to, without fear of any discomfort, share their concerns and needs. Foster children are being looked at for how they can participate in after-school programs. Many schools talk about students in support of social justice. The importance of student attendance is mentioned so much I had to mention it twice. Vertical communication, not just between grades in a school, but between sites and their junior and high schools, junior highs and high schools. And that was nice to hear. And my most favorite is saved for last. Brain breaks during instruction. Oh, yeah. It was nice to read, a nice idea. So those were some of the takeaway ideas I had, and really every school shared some wonderful ideas in their plan, some of which I'd never seen before. So thank you for all that deep thinking and hard work and looking to move our students to better places. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? All right.
I had a couple. Go ahead. You sure? I mean, I'm not going to go into detail like Hilda did, I promise. But looking at mine, I think that as a board member, we look at this too. As we do school visits, I know that I've got things on mine that I've kind of highlighted, and that gives me a guide so that when I come to your school, then I could say, hey, I noticed in your school plan, you kind of show me what this looks like. And I think as a board member, that's very helpful. So know that these books will be used as opposed to just put on a shelf and not looked at again. In fact, I had last year's, so I kind of was looking at both of them together and kind of comparing some things. So we really appreciate all the hard work that you guys have all put into this. I think that the missions and the visions of all of your schools is so thoughtful. To get a flavor of exactly what it is your school is about and what it means to you and to your staff and to your parents is real beneficial, because again, every school looks different. We all serve children, but you have a different way of looking at things, and we all want what's best for our kids. And knowing that not every school site has that same focus, and as a parent in the district, that you can go to a different school. We have open enrollment, and if there's something that STEAM is at one school and there's something different at a different school, as a parent, we can look at that, or we have that choice. I particularly like the focus on literacy in here. Again, you guys we're looking at, how do we help our kids? How do we help them learn? And the focus on literacy. The PE with parents was a new one. I noticed that as well. And so again, very thorough. I won't go into all my little things, but we truly, truly appreciate everything that you guys have done and all of the work that goes behind this. And I think as a board member, I look back at our board goals and make sure that these plans are hitting our board goals. Is the school site really looking at what we're looking at, and are we going hand in hand? So I commend you on that. We truly appreciate you. So thank you.
Yeah, I also want to kind of just echo what the other trustees kind of mentioned, but it was really good rainy weather reading material, believe it or not. It kept me indoors, and I was like, there's only so many shows I can watch, but no. So I did, again, I want to just make sure that you all understand that, we took the time to read through this, and that's exactly, last year I was my first year on the board, and I didn't know exactly how to utilize this as a tool, as a reference, but now I see it when I go do site visits. So to be able to see kind of what that looks like in person, you know, on paper it's one thing, but now visually seeing it now helps me better understand to, you know, again, be advocates for our students and our teachers and you all as well too. So just wanted to let you guys all know that it was good rainy reading material for me.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'm getting some tips how to use this then. I just wanted to say I too really enjoyed reading all the plans, all 20 of them, and especially because as a new board member, it's a really helpful insight for me to get to know each school and the priorities and the character of the school community. So thank you for that opportunity. I love that you're also promoting growth and starting at different places, and everyone has different starting points, but really promoting that growth for all of our students. And I know our teachers are working hard in all the different ways to do that work, so thank you. I did have a question about process because, as you can probably pick up by now, I'm really interested in the role of student voice in these plans, because I know that we are required to look at, you know, our LCAP, and we're incorporating the Board of Trustees goals and their school site councils, English language advisory committees, PTAs, and teachers that consulted, but I think I saw 1 or 2 schools that actually specifically enumerated how they include students' voices. And perhaps there's more, and because we only get the executive summary, I'm not sure if other ways they're being incorporated. But I think that students can be really valuable for offering their insight as well as their ideas of how to address some of the barriers, and it's a great way to get their buy-in. So I'd love to think about, in the process of next year, maybe you can share more in the details of how students' voices are being included, and we can see how that might have an impact on our goals to achieve these goals, or our process of achieving these goals.
Great, thank you. Dr. Lee, just can you refresh my recollection? Now that the process is complete, how soon does everyone have to start looking at the next is it tomorrow? Yeah. And
Well,
there are benchmarks, I assume, throughout the year where principals are gathering information.
Absolutely. The process is fluid. I know there's state mandates and compliance, but we looked at as more guiding posts, and the compliance pieces we need as a school district to be held accountable to the state level. But the process in itself, I would say, is fluid. We have ongoing meetings. Student leadership, school site council, student council is at every site. So conversations can happen as of tomorrow with in collecting information data. Needs assessment is a common language in our school sites, so we don't need an occasion to have those. And the beauty is that data serves as a tool to drive next steps. And so to answer your question, yes, as of tomorrow, and we can view this as more of a fluid process in addition to the compliance.
Great, thank you. I believe if there are no further comments or questions, we can, if I can have a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda, I would appreciate it.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded?
I'll second that.
Great. Moved by Trustee Talavera, seconded by Trustee Hanchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Moving on. Do we want to take a couple minutes break? All of our principals are wonderful.
No, they're gonna stay. It's almost the end.
We've got
Don't
just
give them
the
a chance to
pupil
leave.
Attendance calendar. We've got our dashboard presentation, a discussion of our ongoing.
I say you
Dual
forge
Language
through.
Academy. And all right, no break because of Trustee Berryman. Sorry. Dr. Hammett, you're up.
You guys want to be here till tomorrow?
Good evening, President Thakur, board members, cabinet. It's my pleasure tonight to be able to present to you our first reading of the pupil attendance calendar for the 24-25 school year. We always try to bring forth a school calendar 2 years in advance so that families and staff can begin to make plans and be able to start to plan things out. Tonight actually is a perfect mix in that we had school plans and we're also bringing forth a calendar because attendance does matter, and it also shows our ecosystem. And the ecosystem we live in is not just our elementary schools, our K-8 schools, our junior high schools, but also our high schools. And they're a different district, but we do work very closely with them. A committee was formed to create this calendar. The committee involved parents, involved our teachers as appointed by FIDA, our teachers union, our classified employees appointed by CSEA, and our administrators. And one of the overwhelming things that our parents ask for is please align the elementary calendar with the high school calendar. We don't want to have to make decisions on whether or not students will attend school because the calendars are different. So really, a lot of the work in the calendar committee is how do we ensure those calendars are aligned to ensure that our students attend school and that families aren't forced to make tough decisions about which students will attend school and which students will not, depending on whether they go to the high school or the elementary school. Additionally, we plan out the different staff development days, parent conferences, all of those things which are included in the calendar. And this calendar is being presented to the board tonight to provide you the opportunity to review, provide any comments, or to ask any questions before we bring it back to the next board meeting.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have one comment. I know that in looking at this, when we bring students back in August, which I know Trustee Sugarman cringes about, but at one point in our career here, we brought back our 7th and 8th graders back on different days, and I really, truly liked that because I think, thank you, peanut gallery here. I think that when you bring, I don't think I have to probably explain this, but I do like the point when we bring our 7th graders back or bring them onto a campus where it's new for them, you bring them back without the 8th graders being there, and then we brought the 8th graders back the next day. We've done that in the past, and I know we got away from that. I would really, truly like to advocate that we do that again because I do think 7th grade is scary for students, and giving them that opportunity to come onto campus by themselves and to kind of get a lay of the land before those big, scary 8th graders get there makes a huge difference. You know, I think it does. So I'm just going to voice that as something that I'd like you guys to look at.
Great, and that's something the committee can look at. Would involve some negotiations and also some work with our business services division and days of attendance and instructional minutes, but there definitely are some things we can look at and see what's possible.
My grandchildren went to school at a junior high in Los Angeles County, and they bring 7th graders there for 3 days of, you might call it an in-service or a camp, but it's really to meet the peers in your class. And to have discussions, and leadership team from the 8th grade comes and leads these different smaller groups. And I've had 3 of them go through that process, and each of them, 2 girls and a boy, really appreciated the time that the school gave them. And at the end of the school year, the graduating class graduated a day after the 7th graders stopped coming to school. And so there was a pickup day there for the exchange of student teaching.
Excellent. Yes, and the committee can definitely take a look and see what's possible and see how we can maybe make that a reality for our 7th grade students, be able to have a good introduction to junior high school.
And since I'm talking, I feel everything that Dr. Hammett told us. He's absolutely right in what he's saying, and I believe that we should have discussions with the high school district. Again, I am saying they have never provided data that starting school the 2nd week in August has improved the test scores of their seniors on AP or IB exams. And if they can't provide data to show us we're spending more money on electricity, we're spending more time trying to figure out which children haven't come back from vacation yet, we should be able to have an honest conversation with the high school district so that maybe they will align in a way that is more congenial to the rest of the world. because having our teachers come back the first week and having our principals come back in July is not having a break for summer. And I don't really think that that's what our parents really want. They may want everybody to be together, but not necessarily on those dates. So I really would like to have more discussion with the high school district. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Dr. Hammett, do you need any further instruction from the board since this is just a first read?
No further instruction at this point,
Well,
thank you.
as a-
Unless you have more for me.
As a soon-to-be parent of a 9th grader and
Well,
a
I guess the
7th grader,
principals come back and
I definitely appreciate that the calendars are in sync. So, all right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
California School Board dashboard.
Do we have
Sorry,
to vote on that?
California School dashboard presentation.
Just to make one comment before we begin, I think with dashboards, just to kind of, as we move forward, what are some of the perspectives? One is, it is a time to celebrate. And so tonight, there is definitely a lot to celebrate with the dashboard, and I think there's a time, we try to take time to do that, and it's not just distinguished schools. Each school has something to celebrate and should be celebrated. And we do that both at a district level, but also at a site level. There's also, within each time we do dashboard, there's also places of need. And we talked about this earlier, looking at doing a needs analysis and what does that look like. And for sure, the dashboard is one area. And we're going to get to dig in a little bit more, but just 3 areas that I wanted to comment on to continue to look at. So first, foster youth. Ironically, with our homeless, we've been doing better, and I think that talks about maybe some of the physical needs, and I think we've looked at this area. Our foster youth is an area of growth and something that we need to look at. Early literacy continues to be a focus, and it's something that is important, and it was, I think some of the difficulties were exaggerated for sure because of the pandemic, but continues to be an area of focus. And then mathematics, for all my junior high friends, is an area that we need to continue to look at to improve. Each of us and each school has their own story, and the district has a story at large. And data is something that is not just a curiosity, but something that can help us not just to look at a score, but who is the child behind the score, and what is the need that the score suggests. And so in the end, things like literacy, we want every child in our district to be able to read at a high level. And that's not about a score, that's about a child. And so today, while we're going to talk about scores and colors, I think we actually got rid of colors for a year with the state, but they'll be back next year, I promise you. I actually don't want to get too caught up in the score, but the child. And so that's the piece, and really that is the focus. We want to have actionable items that come out from this, and I know for our board, the achievement of our kids does matter. And so just to say that we look forward to making a difference and trying to always get better in the good work we're doing. So, Julian.
Hello, it's me again. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the California dashboard. The dashboard is the California's accountability system, which is based on multiple measures to assess how districts and schools are meeting the needs of their students. Performance on these measures is reported through the California School Dashboard, which we'll be presenting to you tonight. The purpose of the data is to establish our district's needs and work on those areas for continual improvement. We are very happy when the state began to move towards a growth model. However, this year we cannot fully see that growth due to the lack of data from the previous pandemic years. And although we cannot see that growth as a comparison of years that the dashboard typically does, we can most certainly use the data as a baseline. And so we have so much to celebrate. And here to present for us today is the data master himself, Director of Ed Services, Sung Chi.
Thank you. So good evening, Board President Thakur, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Pleka, and Executive Cabinet. And as Dr. Lee had shared, tonight's presentation is on the California School Dashboard, which is our state's accountability reporting system. Due to the pandemic, the dashboard had been suspended for the past 2 years, but with state testing resuming again last year, the fall 2022 California Dashboard reports, which reflects last year's data, serves as baseline data for us moving forward. So you may be wondering why it's called a dashboard. Similar to a car dashboard, you need multiple measures to really check your progress. And so if you're driving a car, you want to check your speed, but not only with that, you also want to make sure you have enough fuel, you want to make sure that your car temperature is correct. And so in the same way, it takes multiple measures to determine the progress of a school or district. And I've been presenting annually on this for a while, and before, we really only spoke to ELA and math, and that was it. So it's great now that we have a California dashboard that looks at multiple measures for a school as well as a district. Fortunately for us, it's not 52 indicators, because if it was, that would be a long, long presentation, but there are 11 indicators. And so here are the 6 local indicators and the 5 state indicators reported on the dashboard. The local indicators were presented when the LCAP was taken to the board for approval back in the spring. And what CDE does is they release the state indicator data right around the wintertime, so right around now. And so our presentation this evening will focus on FSD's progress on our state indicators. It is also important, though, to note the connection between the LCAP priorities and the dashboard. Data from local and state indicators allow us to determine the progress made on the 8 LCAP state priorities. And so you can see that connection there. And so for each state indicator, a performance color is reported, with red being the lowest performance and blue being the highest performance. And in past dashboard reports, the performance level was determined by how a school or a district performed that year, but also looked at how much growth was made from 2 years ago, making growth just as important as a district's current performance. But since school and district accountability had just been reinstated starting last year, the fall 2022 dashboard performance levels are based on last year's data only, since data is not available from 2 years ago. Therefore, performance levels are solely based on last year's data, and no performance levels, no performance colors are being reported. And instead, you'll see something that looks more of like a cell bar kind of data there. So with 1 bar representing a very low level and 5 bars representing a very high performance level. Starting next year, though, because we'll have 2 years worth of data, we'll go back and start seeing those performance colors again. So the top row represents the district's performance levels for each of the state indicators. Our district is at level 4 in English language arts, as well as suspension rate, level 3 in math and English learner progress, and level 2 in chronic absenteeism. Comparing FSD's performance levels with the state's performance levels, FSD has a higher performance level than the state in all indicators, with the exception of our English learner progress indicator, which are both at level 3. And in the next slides, we'll go over each of these indicators in more detail. So we'll start with the suspension rate indicator. And as we look at this indicator, there are a couple of things that we want to kind of keep in mind. One is that the suspension rate is based on the percentage of students suspended at least one time in the school year, rather than looking at the total number of suspensions. That's one area to consider. Also, and this is really important, the lower the percentage, the better. And so the lower the percentage, the higher the performance level in this case. For FSD, our suspension rate was at 1.3%, putting us at level 4. California is at level 3 with 3.1% of students statewide who were suspended at least one time during that school year. And this puts FSD suspension rate at less than half of California's rate, so something to celebrate there. So in addition to our overall...
That's also reflective of our families in our community.
For sure, yes.
And I hope they celebrate too if they're listening.
Yes.
Thank you.
And in addition to our overall data for each indicator, we wanted to share data at the subgroup level as well. So the dashboard reports on every subgroup that comprises of at least 30 students. One thing to keep in mind is that one student may be included in multiple subgroups. So for example, if you have an English learner who is socioeconomically disadvantaged, they're going to be represented in both of those subgroups. And really, the first step in the work of equity is to examine data at the subgroup level, and with an asset-based approach, really identify the unique needs for each of these individual subgroups. In some cases, providing targeted supports for English learners can also benefit our Hispanic subgroup, since a large proportion of our English learners are Hispanic, and so that's the way that we would want to look at this data. With that said, here are the performance levels that you can see here by subgroup, along with California's performance levels for comparative purposes. 5 of our subgroups are at level 4 or 5, with 4 of our subgroups at level 3, and 2 subgroups at level 2. And compared to the state's performance levels, you can see that FSD has the same or higher performance level for each of our subgroups. And also, as we look at other indicators, you're going to start noticing that the student counts for each of these subgroups can vary by state indicator. This is because there are some indicators that only apply to a particular group of students. And so, for example, once we start looking at our ELA and our math indicators, you're going to start noticing that these numbers start changing a little bit, because for ELA and math, it's only our 3rd through 8th grade students that are tested, compared to a suspension rate where it includes all students in the district. And so for our chronic absenteeism indicator, the state calculates the percentage of students who were absent more than 10% of the days that they were enrolled. So since there are 180 days in a full school year, this would mean that students who are enrolled at FSD for the whole entire year would be considered chronically absent if they missed that 10%, which is at least 18 days of the school year. So you can see that FSD is at level 2 with 12.4% of students chronically absent, while the state is at level 1 with 30%, and that's 3 out of 10. So 30% of our students chronically absent in the state of California. So you can definitely see the effects of COVID that it played in chronic absenteeism rates, not only for our district, but also statewide. So for example, if a student, let's say, tested positive and needed to quarantine for 10 days, that would have already put them more than halfway to being chronically absent. If you had a student that was positive, tested positive twice, that automatically already puts them as being chronically absent. So the fact that chronic absenteeism rates are much higher than in previous years is something that's probably not too big of a surprise for us. But when we start looking at that in perspective, and in terms of what happened last year, you can see the major impact that it played on our chronic absenteeism rates.
Can I ask a question about
For
that
sure,
before
yes.
you move on? So for our chronic absenteeism, if we have a student who did have to stay home, I know that we were putting together the homeschool packages. Would they be eligible to recoup that attendance through that way and through Saturday school, and it wouldn't go towards the chronic absenteeism? So this is
so that would
percentage
definitely-
is even with that, even with
Yes.
those.
Yeah, and
So
you
it's
can-
people that just didn't do it.
Yeah, and so you can see that, like if you compare our data with California's, you can see the impact, the positive impact actually that it made,
Right.
being able to do that and being able to recoup those days, because without that, our rates would have been much higher.
Okay, thank you.
So with that said, you can see that FSD's chronic absenteeism rate is 17.6 percentage points lower than the state's. Although FSD is at level 2, our absenteeism rate still ranks in the top 15% of all California districts, and we're talking over 900 districts. So there's a lot to celebrate with that as well. And later in the presentation, though, there's still work that needs to be done. So later in the presentation, Dr. Helene Morris will share about the efforts being made to decrease those numbers of students that are chronically absent this year.
I was just going to jump into, think of all the students that were quarantined more than once. So that's a whole other group. And while the quarantine group, we definitely promoted and hoped they would do the independent study, for kids that were that had COVID. I mean, the truth is, if they had COVID, many of them would not have been in a position to be able to do the independent work. So there was definitely some unique things last year.
Right. And so here's the subgroup data for chronic absenteeism. FSD has one subgroup with a performance level of 4, one with a performance level of 3, 6 subgroups had a performance level of 2, and 3 subgroups performance level of 1. But compared to the state, you can see that FSD had performance levels that are at the same or higher levels for all the subgroups compared to the state. So our next indicator is English learner progress. The English Language Proficiency Assessment for California, or what we typically call the LPAC, is the metric that's used to calculate the percentage of English learners making progress towards English language proficiency. English learners are considered as making progress when they score at the highest level on the LPAC, which is a level of 4, or they've moved at least one performance level from the previous year. So both FSD and the state are at level 3. FSD's percentage of English learners making progress is 1 percentage point higher than the state's. And we don't have data broken down by subgroups because this specific indicator only is really looking at our English learner subgroup, and so we don't have it that broken down any further than that. And to note, we're very hopeful that with our focus on English learners that Dr. Sototo Ruiz will be speaking about, we anticipate an increase in the percentage of English learners making that progress by the end of this year. So for ELA and math, the performance level is determined based on a district's or a school's distance from standard. And I know you've heard that before. DFS represents the distance between a student's score and the score they would need to reach proficiency. And so we did provide a one-page handout. On the second page of that handout, you'll see kind of how, like an example of how a DFS is calculated. So that is there for you. But in ELA, FSD is at level 4 with a DFS score of 30 points above standard. And what that would mean is that on average, students are scoring 30 points above that proficiency cut score on the Smarter Balance test. FSD's distance from standard, DFS, is 17.8 points higher than the state, which is at a performance level of 2. And compared to all districts in the state, FSD ranked in the top 22% on their DFS score. And here are the performance levels for each of our subgroups. We had 4 subgroups that were in the level 4 or level 5, along with 5 subgroups that were level 2 and 2 subgroups in level 1. And later in the presentation, we'll address specifically the progress and efforts made in supporting our students with the greatest academic needs. And in math, FSD is at level 3, while California is at level 2. You know, and although we're on average, if you take a look at DFS for FSD, although we're on average 8.9 points below standard, that's still, compared to the state, 42.8 points higher than California on average, which has a DFS of 51.7 points below standard. Also, compared to other California districts, FSD ranks in the top 25%. And similar to the other subgroup tables, here are the math performance levels for each of the subgroups. This is actually very similar to ELA, but we do have 4 subgroups with a performance level of 4 or 5. We have 5 with a performance level of 2 and 2 subgroups with a performance level of 1. The last way that we analyze the data, and this isn't something that the state reports on, but it's something that we wanted to take a look, take a little deeper dive into, is analyzing how our district compared with other districts with similar demographics. Long time ago, the state actually used to report on looking at similar districts, and they would actually rank schools based on districts or schools and districts that were very similar in terms of the demographics. And so we wanted to mirror that. So we first looked at how FSD compared with other districts that had similar percentage of English learners. And so what we did is we looked across the state at other districts that had roughly about the same percentage of English learners. And you can see that FSD ranked based off of that in the top 10% in ELA and the top 15% in math. So a lot to celebrate there. We also compared other districts that had similar low income enrollments as well. And based off of that analysis, FSD actually ranked in the top 7% in ELA and the top 6% in math. And so this data, I feel, this slide really truly represents the hard work and efforts of all of our students, as well as all of our FSD staff and community as well. And so this is something that we definitely, as an FSD family, should really be proud of, because this is not something that always gets reported, but it is something that we definitely want to acknowledge. And so now we'll share some of the programs that are in place to support our students, and we'll start with Dr. Helene Morris.
Thank you so much, Sung. Good evening, Trustee Thakur, our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pletka, and our Executive Cabinet. So we're going to talk a little bit about absenteeism. And when we talk about attendance, we must focus on school culture and building positive relationships with our students. And we do this in a variety of ways, but two that are very notable include positive behavioral interventions and supports, or PBIS, and social emotional learning, or SEL. The image that you see before you is familiar because it's our district vision for social emotional learning. I see you, you are important, and you matter. And you see children in the center of the logo, and all of the people around the students are the people that promote and support their social emotional well-being. And in this metaphor that is the iris of the eye, the students are the pupil that are at the center of the work and all that we do. And every day we want them to know that we see them and that they are important and they matter. And this work is grounded in the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL 5, research-based competencies. There's 5 competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. And students will come to school for just one person who makes them feel that they matter. So with that being said, what are some of the things that we're doing to address chronic absenteeism? First of all, just a quick reminder, as Sung shared, what is chronic absenteeism? It's defined as missing 10% or more of a school year. So in a 180-day school year, that would be 18 days or more. Since the pandemic hit in March of 2020 and schools were shut down, it's taken a dramatic toll on student attendance and how students come to school, as you saw by both the California State and FSD dashboard data. Nevertheless, we're on a road and pathway to success in improving student attendance. And I would like to address some interventions that we use to address chronic absenteeism. You know, when you do a slideshow and it's supposed to come in a magical way, these were all supposed to be special clicks, and so I'm looking at it and it's all clicked in for you, except one is missed, and now it won't let me go back. Love it. Well, anyway, so let's start here. So at the top, you see that little guy up there, and that's our student. And so we want to have a culture where students love coming to school. A study from the Baltimore Education Research Consortium showed that chronically absent students with a mentor gained an average of 9 attendance days per year, 9 days. So relationships with students promote that positive culture. And you know, Dr. Pleck, under your leadership, done some amazing work with Rising Stars and mentoring kids, and that's been really exciting to be a part of that. And then next, with the pandemic, it's made it more difficult for us to provide incentives to our students to come to school, because when they're sick, we want them to stay home. In fact, we used to put out these banners that say 98%. We had them made for every school right before the pandemic hit. They have been in my office since right before the pandemic hit. They're like a art feature, I guess. But anyway, we do have some really fun incentives, and our schools have really tried to be creative. to promote that. So if you look at that picture under incentives, it's a picture of a practice at Valencia Park School. They have monthly character trait assemblies, and at these assemblies, they also recognize perfect attendance. And every month, the class with the highest attendance gets a pizza party, and each student with perfect attendance is recognized by name and earns a popsicle. And you move down to the next one that says parent communication and SOAR. Parent education and communication is key. This is a picture from Woodcrest School, and every time a student is absent at a school like Woodcrest or Maple, they send a letter home to parents and let them know that their student missed school and how they can sign up for our Saturday School SOAR program, which makes a huge difference. And just to kind of throw some numbers at you, last year, Valencia Park recovered 665 absences, Pacific Drive, 626, Maple, 546, Woodcrest, 490, and Fern, 459. And then when those kind of like tier 1 interventions aren't really working, we have to go deeper. And so you see that road to SARB. SARB stands for School Attendance Review Board. So we use a system in PowerSchool called Truancy Tracker that helps us really simplify our process and know who's chronically absent. We don't want to send our parents and our students to SARB. That's prevention is the key. So we do have something called SART, S-A-R-T, School Attendance Review Team Contracts. And we use our social services assistants, or SSAs, to go out to homes and conduct a home visit. First, find out what's going on, what's preventing you from getting to school. Let's make a human connection. Let's use this as an opportunity. And then in cases where it's not improving, then we bring our families before to our SARB hearing. We even had our SARB hearings today, this morning. So it's a regular process that we do every single month. We have some wonderful partnerships. One of the first ones you'll see is the Truancy Intervention Program through the Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove. And you might say, Boys and Girls Club of Garden Grove, like in Fullerton? Well, they won the contract with the Orange County District Attorney's Office. And so they're actually a program that supports all of Orange County schools. They have a really remarkable program. They have parenting classes, parent empowerment series. They come to all of our SARB hearings. They sit on our panel as well. Next, we have great support from the Fullerton Police Department. We have Family Court that serves on our SARB panel as well. And then above that, you see OC GRIP. So 76% of those who are incarcerated, the first crime that they ever committed was being truant from school. 76% of those incarcerated. So in working with OC GRIP, we work to address the 3 A's: attendance, academics, and attitudes. And finally, we work with the district attorney's office. We even had one deputy district attorney that came in today from San Diego to be at our SARB hearings and drove in this morning. And we offer DA parent meetings so we can really educate parents, because some parents don't know. They might think, oh, that's fine. If my student is just sick for 20 days, they're sick for 20 days. Well, if your student is sick for 20 days, they're chronically absent. So educating parents kind of about the laws, and then what are some of the things that they can do. Okay. And now we want to also just talk just a little bit about our homeless and foster youth and some action items around attendance. So just three bucket areas to share with you. One is student identification. That might sound really simple, but we need to know which of our students are homeless and which of our students are foster youth. So we've worked to simplify processes across our data systems, making sure our principals get an email for their students who are on the verge of being chronically absent. Then we do a lot of student and family outreach. Anybody could say that they do it, but we actually document our results and our work. So we have, for example, a spreadsheet documentation of individualized and ongoing social services assistant outreach to families who are experiencing homelessness, the connection, and what they need for resources. And then we also do the same thing for our foster youth. And we've identified 4 main buckets: basic needs, social emotional learning needs, mentoring and counseling, and academic needs. And we have a lot of robust partnerships and allocation of resources and funding. And then finally, we use data points like our Illuminate data reports and iReady data progress monitoring for academic interventions. We do screening tools like the SRSSIE, the Student Risk Screening Scale for internalizing and externalizing behaviors, which is research-based. We also this year are using a student-reported survey through Rethink Ed. And so that's new and exciting. And then we do provide mentoring and counseling, identification, and check-in. So I know that was a lot in a short amount of time, but there's more. Next up is RTI, and it's my pleasure to introduce Educational Services Director Emily McDougall and Math Program Specialist Tracy Kim.
Good evening, President Takor, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pleka, Executive Cabinet, and community members. RTI is a response to intervention program, which is another program used by the Fullerton School District to provide additional support and resources to students who are struggling academically. The program uses a tiered system of interventions to address the needs of students at different levels. Tier 1 instruction is provided to all students by the classroom teacher. Tier 2 interventions are provided to students who are struggling after Tier 1 instruction. Today, Emily and I will focus on Tier 3 interventions serviced by our RTI coaches. This academic support is provided for our students who continue to struggle despite Tier 2 interventions by implementing our specialized Tier 3 instruction. The RTI program is intended to help struggling learners receive targeted instruction on foundational skills to equip them for success in their grade level standards. So you might ask, what does the FSD RTI program look like? Since August, over 2,000 students have received targeted support in English language arts and mathematics through small group instruction. These intervention sessions have been designed to provide targeted support on foundational reading and math skills. The progress of each student is closely monitored throughout the intervention cycle, and assessment data is used to determine the most foundational areas of need for each student. End-of-cycle assessments are used to determine the next steps for each student and to ensure that they are making progress towards their learning goals.
Good evening. I am excited to share with you a new addition to our Response to Intervention program for the 2023 school year at Woodcrest. We are proud to announce the opening of the Lindenwood Bell Learning Center on campus, which will provide after-school interventions in both ELA and in math to identified students. Now, this Learning Center on campus is in addition to a new expansion led by a current RTI coach at Commonwealth, as well as to our established and thriving Lindenwood Bell clinics at Richmond, Orangethorpe, Pacific Drive, and Valencia Park. In addition to this Lindenwood Bell Learning Center on campus, we will continue to offer after-school RTI interventions in ELA and math to identified students at all Title I elementary and junior high schools this year. And we will be delivering these interventions by highly qualified teachers who have been trained in evidence-based strategies. And finally, something to highlight this year is that the Orton-Gillingham approach, or you might have heard OG, Orton-Gillingham has been, it's an approach to reading instruction. It's evidence-based and it's a highly effective method for teaching foundational reading skills. Now, this approach has been shown to be particularly effective for students struggling with reading. We are excited that all of our ELA RTI coaches have been trained in this approach to ensure that our students are receiving the highest quality instruction. Now moving on to some student progress in RTI under ELA. Now we are only halfway through the school year, and we have to point out that already 43% of our students have reached their iReady goal for the entire year. And that's something to celebrate. And 47% of students have moved at least one level in iReady. And so you're probably asking, well, what does this mean? And it means that we're closing the achievement gap for these students who we have identified for services.
As Emily mentioned, we are only halfway into the school year, and 34% of students have already reached their iReady math goals for the school year. Furthermore, 59% of students have progressed at least one level in iReady, with 55 of those students moving up 2 levels in iReady. These results indicate that students are making significant strides towards their academic goals, and we are excited about each child's potential growth as we head to the second half of the school year. Thank you.
Jen, when the student reaches its goal quite early, do you reset the goal with the student, or do you release the student from the program?
So basically what ends up happening is for all students that take the iReady test, the iReady system itself determines a goal for that student. So if a third grader scored at a particular level, iReady would say, hey, most students in that grade level who score at that level at the beginning of the year, we expect you to grow, let's say, 20 points. And so that's what we use to really monitor the progress of students. But in addition to that, we have students that have grown that have gained like 200% progress towards their goal, or even 300. When I actually sorted it out, there was actually one student who made 500% progress towards their goal. So it is something that we just continue to encourage them to do. We actually just met with principals, was it last week? Yeah, it was just last week, where we started talking about having those data chats for those teachers to have make sure that students understand what their goals are. We still have one more iReady testing in March, and so we want them to continue to grow, and there's a lot more room for growth as well.
So you keep them in the program.
Yes, they continue to stay in the program, and we see how far they would exceed that goal.
Thank you.
And moving on, I will speak to the Galactic Reading Challenge, which has been mentioned a couple times this evening. So, why the Galactic Reading Challenge? We are encouraging and promoting Fullerton School District's commitment to literacy and joyful reading every day. So this is a daily incentivized program that's promoting this joyful reading among all our students in the Fullerton School District. This challenge has started. It started January 10th, and it goes until March 17th. And it can be completed anywhere. It can be completed at home, at school, anywhere around the Fullerton community. This goal of the program is to promote that commitment to reading among FSD students, to make it a fun and enjoyable daily activity. And we're really happy to have these Fullerton partners working with us: Fullerton Public Library, Fullerton Ford, Barnes & Noble, the Boys and Girls Club of Fullerton, as well as OC United. On our next slide here, you can see a sample of our galactic grid. So there are 60 grid squares where students can check off a way that they read that day and level up, achieve different levels for however many grid squares they complete. So if you achieve 20 grid squares, you'll get a water bottle sticker with our Galactic Reading Challenge logo on it. 40 grid squares will get you a where is it? It's in my pocket. Oh, did it fall out? We'll get you a brag tag, so something to clip onto your backpack. And 60 grid squares, you will be able to shop for a new book. So we're really excited to be able to provide this opportunity for all our readers. Keithley Hale and Judy Booth from Fullerton Public Library both have already expressed their excitement around this initiative. They've had students come by, and they're already giving those special stamps in the library, so we thank them for that. So now to speak to English Learner Supports is one of our directors in Educational Services, Dr. Erlinda Soltero Ruiz.
Good evening. So this year, our focus is on, do I keep going? Focus is on ELD. So our supports have increased due to our new ELD committee, which some of our principals that are here are on our committee, as well as parents and community members and teachers. Another one of the increased supports is having an English learner lead teacher on each of our campuses to help with these supports. I have broken down the supports into the different categories of our major contributors, which are our principals, our teachers, and our parents. So with our principals, we have established new training on how to use our elevation platform, which includes different kinds of strategies that you can see are leveled by the different proficiency levels. For example, the sample that you see up there is based for newcomers and works with our speaking levels, and it consists of a video. Also, we have provided resources on professional development on these strategies to use for our English learners. Our teachers have been offered, we've offered PK through 3 teachers training on our guided language acquisition design, our strategies in GLAD, we call it, and that focuses on increasing vocabulary in different ways and different styles. Additionally, we have offered professional development on English language development for our teachers, and we have included a new resource tool that we have acquired through one of our grants, which is our multilingual learning toolkit. Coupled with the elevation strategies, have truly increased a different variety of ways to teach ELD to our students. Taking a look at the students in what they are receiving, in our ELD committee, we are working on our newcomer plan as well as rewriting our master EL plan. So that is coming forth through our committee work. Our newcomers are receiving instruction from our core curriculum, which is Wonders, StudySync, Lexia EL, which we have incorporated at some of the school sites, as well as Billard and Thai. We have specific teachers that are using this new program to see how we can better support our English learners and newcomers. We are still focusing on our designated ELD-based program with our ELD standards, and some of the strategies are mentioned right there that the students are using. They're basically some cue cards that students use as a strategy to develop their English. Working with the parents, we have supported them in our ELAC meetings at the school sites through Ed Services presentations, as well as principals presenting on the new strategies that they have learned through elevation. At our DLAC meetings, we have informed parents on reclassification process and how to use STEM to support our students at home. We are continuing with our parent workshops. We have our parent workshops starting up again. In February, Woodcrest will be receiving the 10 educational commandments. Pacific Drive will be having the pleasure of having Words Alive workshop for their parents. In March, Ladera Vista will be having the School Smarts program, and Sunset Lane will be having the Words Alive program. So those are some supports that we have been offering to our English learners thus far.
So we're in the home stretch now. So we wanted to end our presentation sharing some of the areas of focus as well as areas that we can celebrate. So, and Dr. Pleka had mentioned this as well. And so some areas of focus for us as a district would really be centered around our foster youth as well as our students with disability subgroups, specifically in the areas of English language arts, math, and chronic absenteeism. And so for our foster youth students, we've been working hard to ensure that all foster youth students receive the supports they need. And that would include participation in interventions. So we're ensuring that all students that need that are participating. And we've actually have a spreadsheet where we're going through and checking off every student that needs that support. And that could be during the day interventions as well as after school interventions, as well as connecting them with mentors who can build relationships and really offer that guidance and support. For students with disabilities, individual goals are established for each student, and these goals are then monitored to check for progress. In addition, there are various testing accommodations and supports specifically for students on an IEP when they take the state test. And so we've been working with student support services to provide that adequate and proper training to our special education teachers, ensuring that the appropriate testing accommodations and supports are not only identified for each student, but that the students are also trained on how to use some of those supports A lot of times students don't realize some of these supports that they have that's built within a platform. And so we want to make sure that they're able to take benefit and they're able to benefit for some of those things. And the first step of that is really providing that training to our teachers as well as our students. And as we shared as well, there's a lot to be proud of, and we wanted to highlight a few that was shared early in the presentation. And so these are some just kind of talking points for you. So you can see that compared to all California districts, and like I had mentioned, there are over 900 districts in the state of California. FSD ranks in the top 13% in chronic absenteeism, top 22% in ELA, and top 20% in math. And as we shared before, when we compare how FSD performed with other districts with similar percentage of students that are low income, FSD ranks in the top 7% in ELA as well as top 6% in math. So there's a lot of areas to celebrate. We know that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but it is nice for us sometimes just to take a step back, look at all the accomplishments and celebrate that as well. And so with that, we want to thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, we're more than willing to answer them for you.
Thank you so much, everybody. That was a lot of information, but a lot to celebrate, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a few, and I realize this is my first time hearing a report like this, so I am learning, and I appreciate your help in understanding this. I want to go back to a couple of groups that I was curious about. So the first was around suspension rates, and I know that overall we're doing really well, but I noticed that we are suspending kids who are experiencing homelessness and involved in the foster care system more frequently than any other group, right? Is that consistent with what other school districts experience as well? I mean, did those numbers compare? I'm just wondering.
So if you go, let me see if I can get back here. And are we able to go back to the presentation? So that is one of the reasons why we put the California performance levels right in comparison, so that you can kind of get a sense of how other subgroups just within California in general are performing. You can see that trend is very similar.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get back to that.
Okay. And then I know that you said or it was mentioned that specifically principals are notified when we receive information that would lead us to believe that a child is experiencing homelessness. I assume that teachers are as well. What's our protocol in the way that teachers are indicated and able to support kids?
Sure. Maybe that is Helene. Is that something that you're able to answer?
Our protocol is to work directly with the principal and assistant principal and have them work with the teacher rather than creating like a variety of email records to teachers, having that relationship. And keep in mind, you're not dealing with a large group of students. Like our foster youth count when we last ran the data was 36 students district-wide. And there's no guessing about how they're identified. They're either foster youth through the state or they're not. I don't know if that answered
For
your
children,
question.
yeah, I think it was the experiencing homelessness that those numbers may be harder for us to identify, right?
Yeah, one of the challenges is there's some really strict laws on communicating specifically about homeless. And sometimes that even includes with staff that in some cases we would like to share more, but because of some of the laws, it's pretty restrictive.
And what we've done too to share is we've worked with our social services assistants as well to do outreach. We do outreach at various points during the year, but especially at the beginning of the year to do that warm, like, hello, I'm your McKinney-Vento, which is the law that supports our students experiencing homelessness, but I'm your McKinney-Vento liaison, and I'm here to support you. And then it's kind of a series of needs that we go through and assess, like food, clothing, shelter, social emotional needs, even things like, do you have Wi-Fi? Do you have a hotspot? Like, what is your living situation? Like, maybe you need warm blankets. And we have some really, I can't even say it right now because this is all recorded on Facebook. We have some really exciting things that we're doing with homelessness that we're going to be presenting, hopefully at some point in time this year. I'm really excited. And we have a lot of people working behind the scenes. So we're going to be coming back with that. But there's some things in the works. So just get me away from the mic.
And just to reinforce, I think the work of equity is to look at our groups that need extra support. And I think it is clear by the data that we have kids that need more support, specifically our foster youth. I think if there was one group identified that really shows that we need to do more work, it's our foster. And homeless would be a pretty close second, and special ed. So again, each school also has their own story, but as a district, again, as a district, we're committed to this work of equity, and I guess, reveals that this is something that we need to do more. And I think it's fair to say each group has their needs that make it unique. We've really looked at what our foster kids need. It is different, not in every case, but in some cases from our homeless. And in some ways, it's a little bit of an injustice if we group them and say, well, they're, it's all the same, foster and homeless. They each have their unique needs. Growing up, I had 2 foster sisters, and while there was always enough food in our home for them, in one case, Michelle, her parents were in prison, and so she suffered in that case, and that's different than someone that might truly be homeless and living out of a car or in a crowded situation. So in each case, each child has an individual need, and it's important for us to focus. And again, it's not about a score, it's about a child.
Well, I want to say thank you for bringing up I think the importance of our DEI work, because I think also I was struck by the fact that looking at our English language scores and math scores, students who have been traditionally marginalized communities, African American and Hispanic students, are also scoring lower than our average. So I think we need to address those inequalities that we see show up in those ways.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I had one question. I don't know if there's an answer to it, but I know that as we look at foster youth and homeless youth, do we have any idea the length of stay? Because foster youth are traditionally, they bounce from foster family to foster family, and that has a lot to do with, how far behind they are when they actually even start with our school. So do we have any idea about how long that population stays with us, or do you find that most are here for a longer period of time and are pretty stable, or are they traditionally going from, leaving our district quickly?
Our foster numbers are somewhat stable throughout the year. They're low, as I said, they're in the 30s, and that stays pretty consistent throughout the year. In terms of our McKinney-Vento students, those numbers fluctuate widely. For example, in October we have our Seabeds Day, which is a day where we do like our census day, as many people call it. And if you compare that to our end of year McKinney-Vento data, which tracks all kids who are McKinney-Vento throughout the year, you would have a difference of dozens of kids who've been in and out of the district.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I had one. Is there a way to share what the different levels are in percentages? So I know, like we were sharing, FSD's at level 4 for certain things, and level 3s, and it came with some percentages tied to those. But is there a way that we can get, what the ranges are, and then just kind of see?
Yes, we can definitely get that for you. We'll put it in like just a single document for you that breaks it down by indicator. And basically, I think what you're asking for, like kind of cut scores.
Yeah.
Like what determines a level 4, what determines a level 3, and so forth.
Yeah.
We can definitely get that for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I know that we've lost some data with COVID, but if we went deeper, would we see like a glimmer of our DLA students as ELA learners showing maybe more of a positive change?
We can definitely disaggregate the data looking at our students that are part of the DLA program. And so we'll put that together, and we can send that to you as a board communique as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're welcome. If there are no further comments or questions, we'll accept the report, I guess. Thank you, everybody.
President Tekor, can I make a motion that we take a short break and allow our principals to leave before the last item?
Yes, I agree. Why don't we take 3 minutes? Thank you, everybody. Soltero Ruiz and Dr. Lee.
Yes. Our last presentation of the night, Junior High DLA Pathway Board Report. I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Ruiz, and I'm going to also invite our two fabulous junior high principals. We have Bill Lynch from Ladera Vista and Jose Varela from Nicholas.
Perfect. We leave the best for last, right? Okay. Good evening. No, we still have a crowd. It's okay. They're still there.
We do.
Yes. Yes, they are. So good evening, President Tagore, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pleka, Executive Cabinet, and community members. It brings me great pleasure to share an update on our journey for our junior high dual language pathway. Our multilingual task force has contributed to our journey, and that is an advisory committee that consists of parents, teachers, administrators, and community members. This evening we had three members that were going to present the junior high DLA pathway. Our parent and teacher, Gina Ortiz, her baby, it was past her bedtime, so she did leave, so I will take her slides. And then we have Principal Bill Lynch from Ladera Vista and Principal Jose Varela from Nicholas. So you will hear about our journey that thus far, and it includes a program model and our biliteracy recognition award. So our dual language pathway journey began with a couple of visits, one to Anaheim School District, their DLA program, and La Habra's. We actually have another visit to La Habra tomorrow if anyone is interested still. And there we learned about their programs and how we can see which one would be somewhat of a closer match to our community, to the way we know our dual language families work together and are more community-based. Through the task force with facilitated conversations, we have learned that the La Habra program is a little bit more towards our ways of working with our DLA parents and our program. So we are going to be learning about the junior high model that we have looked into. We have facilitated a sixth grade parent informational meeting because we knew at a certain point our parents were going to be a little anxious about what was going on with the task force. We have a lot of parents on the task force. However, our sixth grade parents needed this direct information, so we provided a specific meeting for them and gave them all of the information that we are going to share today. We have examined curriculum from McGraw-Hill, which is our current history program. That is, when we adopted it, we ensured that we had a translated version of it. So we have those textbooks already in place and ready to go for our 7th graders. Our Amplify Science program additionally has that support for our DLA program as well. And we are currently researching our Spanish language arts program so that we can have additional resources there. Our teacher recruitment has already begun, and we have put out a recruitment for a B-class single subject science teacher. This came up because we currently have a teacher that desires to teach our clase de historia. He is already currently at Ladera Vista. So because of this, the need lied to have a maestro de ciencias. So we are putting that out as recruitment. So all of this journey came through the discussion and work through our task force and our parents. So some of the highlights from our junior high DLA pathway, click, are the dual language junior high pathway will begin at Ladera Vista this upcoming school year. We surveyed our 6th grade parents and all of our parents in order to keep the cohort together, and it was a natural progression because they are a feeder school to Ladera Vista. This year we'll be continuing at Ladera Vista solely, and we have Principal Varela here going through the whole journey with this because he is learning as we're going along, because the possibility of having Nicholas start up the following year in 2024 is a possibility, because we will have the next grade level moving up. So we want to ensure that the program is still functioning and going along so that we have that support at both school sites. The other portion of the highlights is our 50-50 model that Principal Lynch will be, I already elevated you, wow. Is as the instructional model. And then looking towards a biliteracy attainment award. This is a bit different than the biliteracy seal, which is for high school students. And we have come up with a portfolio option for that as well that Principal Varela will be describing.
Good evening. You may be thinking now, what does this look like in the course of a school day for our students? So we have this screen here that shares a few of the different tracks that our youngsters in the DLA program would have. At the very top, you can see ELA and math. There could be, based on the levels of our students and how we can best challenge them, whether they have honors ELA or honors math or both honors classes, but they're still going to be continuing in their history and science cohort in the DLA program. And this slide helps kind of demonstrate, where the variety might be and where their cohort falls. So these youngsters would have history and science and a sort of a Spanish language arts class. So this would be an opportunity for them to go a little deeper into the literature, to have closer to their grade level in books, start a little more, have an active use of more writing opportunities. And then they would also have, as all students at Ladera Vista have, an opportunity to choose an elective from our long list of electives that we offer all of our students. Now this is set up here on the slide to make it visually sort of easy to understand what their school day might look like. There could be some variety in how, based on their needs or what electives we're trying to fit, they could be sort of split into different periods of the day. But this kind of gives a vision to the classes that they take and what that 50-50 model looks like, where they'll have English only in the English, math, and an elective of their choice, and then having a Spanish delivery of history, science, and the Spanish language arts class. Thank you.
So just to clarify, they have one elective.
Yes, so that would be, in a sense it's two electives, but one of those electives is a Spanish focused language arts elective class. And
they're going to see it as one elective.
They very well may, but we have a lot of students that have a academic elective, whether students currently taking a Spanish elective is an academic elective. We have a creative writing class. We have an AVID elective. So that we have a lot of examples already where kids, and that's one of the great things about Fullerton schools and Fullerton junior highs in particular, having worked in other districts, a lot of kids have one elective. And if you have a support class, you've lost your opportunity to have that fun and that passion in a school day. Whereas Fullerton, you have two electives, so you do have that option. And even for students who maybe they're not electing for an academic, but they might need a support class. Right. So they have that support class, but then also an elective that they can choose and do culinary or arts or guitar, leadership or any of the other electives of their choice.
So can I ask another question on the elective? Yes. Just to clarify, I know it'll be Spanish language arts. Is there an option to even diversify? I mean, they could do newspaper in Spanish. They could do creative writing in Spanish. I mean, it could take on a creative approach approach,
Absolutely,
depending on the teacher?
And you know, we're even looking at how we can, you know, we are a school of the arts at Ladera Vista, so how can we integrate the arts into that elective as well? So there's a lot of discussion still ongoing in how we can really bolster that class and make it really something that's going to be really rewarding to the students.
Principal Lynch, you, just to remind you that you've got 2 DLA parents here on the board.
I'm aware, yes.
We're coming next year.
Depending on the level 3, sorry, 3. Depending on the.
Not anytime soon, but.
Yeah.
Depending on the.
No. Just graduating later than yours.
Oh.
Third grade.
All right.
Sixth grade.
All right. I thought you were having
In the
a
pipeline.
baby. All right. Announcing it for everybody here.
Congratulations,
If
you two.
the Spanish language arts represents, like, could an 8th grader that's excelling in Spanish that's not in DLA take Spanish language arts? Does it flow both ways? The way that our DLA students can expand into other electives, could our Spanish language arts become an elective for somebody that wants to advance in their Spanish?
I think we're right now in our journey as we're looking at the other models is our way that we can welcome other students into that program. Because right now we have these, you know, this cohort coming from Raymond specifically, and where there would be opportunities for other students who could show that level of proficiency in being able to read and give pretty in-depth written responses in Spanish. So I think once we see the data on which of those students can perform at that level, then everything's on the table, absolutely.
And that was one of the advantages we saw in visiting different junior highs in the community, was those Spanish speakers who had learned Spanish academically from wherever they're coming from, to our newcomers to our community had an opportunity to continue to excel and grow academically using their first language.
Bringing their assets.
Bringing their assets.
Absolutely.
We want them.
Thank you.
And once again, I just realized why I'm so thankful that Principal Lynch is going through this year, and I'm going to learn from him, and I'm going to get everything that he's learned from it, even from his, not mistakes, but his problems, journeys. There you go. So one of our goals, of course, is that every student has the opportunity, we offer the opportunity to every student to receive the Middle School Biliteracy Attainment Award. The idea is that a student will put together a portfolio throughout the 2 years that shows growth in English and Spanish or Korean in the future, demonstrated throughout one of the following methods. Again, the portfolio, the requirements are determined by the school, the district, and the county office of education. A portfolio could include a speech, a discussion or a debate, or a presentation of an original piece of poetry or creative writing, or a persuasive or informative presentation on the grade level topic, etc. Another way that could be embedded into the portfolio is where a student has 3 experiences a year, reflect and document each experience required to submit for each experience, done on Google Classroom, showing the timeline. So we could talk about a cultural experience, you know, maybe a Cinco de Mayo celebration, Independence Day celebration, maybe a quinceañera celebration. Some of the sort where the student is actually documenting their experience through the Google document and submit this portfolio in the 3 times a year. And in the 2-year span, we're talking about 6 experiences. So the idea is, of course, not only having the student sit in the classroom and learn the language, learn science in Spanish or what have you, but also get immersed into the culture as well. So the idea is to create the whole child in regards to the dual language experiences.
And currently, we have an increase in our DLA intents. Overall, we have 70, and that includes 2 7th grade interests for this as well. So we have those opportunities, like we mentioned, the newcomers coming in, testing into the program, so we have that ability to expand. And we're recruiting right now for our DLA program, and specifically for our 6th graders, which are the inaugural class, we're looking to see how we can use one of the parent nights at Raymond as one of our recognition nights as a culminating event for our 6th grade students going into 7th grade. And additionally, Principal Lynch has his open house coming up, and he has not even formally invited everyone, but he is going to offer our 6th grade Raymond DLA students to come in prior to that open house meeting to have a special little presentation for them. And if you have any questions, we're here available. But we thank you again for supporting our program, and we look forward to this great opportunity to celebrate our students.
Any questions, further questions or comments from the board? Thank you all very much. Really excited.
I have some questions and comments. First of all, we're just excited in my house, and I want to say thank you for all the work that's gone into the amazing experience of the last 7 years, actually, kindergarten through 6th grade, and then moving this forward to the junior high. And of course, I think it does make sense to bring it to a single junior high for this first year in order to make sure we're filling our classes and taking this journey and figuring it out as we go. But I do want to express my commitment to making sure it comes to Nicholas as well, because I think that's a really important asset that brings to the community, to the school, and to value the assets our kids and our families come with for the dual language and the biliteracy. So I did want to ask, though, you said 2024. Are we talking the school year 24-25 or 23-24?
So we'll have the opportunity, because at that point we don't know the 5th graders coming into 6th grade, or
Okay.
they're going to be the 6th graders not going into 7th grade.
Still Raymond,
Maybe.
but
Still Raymond, I mean, still Ladera Vista, but we don't know if their option is more geared towards Nicholas, is what Nicholas offers. So that's why we have to kind of both pave that pathway together to see what we have
so the
in store for.
conversation is open to introduce Nicholas as soon as next school year, or the following 24,
Yes.
20, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on the, like we surveyed the parents this year, we will be doing the same thing.
Got you. Okay. I wanted to ask, oh, and I love the idea that we're going to have maestros. We've only had women teachers who are incredible, but I think that might be good for some of our students to have some strong men leading them too. And I would love to know more about the biliteracy attainment. I was curious when I was learning about the different cultural observations, community engagement, college readiness. I had asked to clarify that there will be opportunities in class to create those reports and set aside time. I was thinking about whether there would be cost outside of school to attend a quinceañera might have it come at a cost of whether time or money for a family. So would there be opportunities for students to fulfill all those requirements within either school hours or field trips or something like that?
Yes, we would offer those opportunities, as well as having, for example, a counselor or somebody else on campus to kind of help out with the needs that the students may have related to writing pieces or things like that.
Okay.
Have we been talking to the high school district about where our kids can go? Oh, I knew she's always
Dr.
3 steps
Lee's
ahead.
been having meetings regularly with Dr. Kaufman at the high school.
Yes, and so that they are willing to accept our children.
Oh, yeah.
And continue in some form so that they can get the higher certificate.
Yes, those conversations are happening now. They were happening at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And the beauty is we have another district, La Habra, that have kind of paved the way. So they're already bridging that relationship. But I'm a part of those conversations as well. So I do thank the high school district for allowing that cross-district articulation. And we have those meetings monthly, and my meeting is coming up next week.
Good. That's wonderful. Just got to protect these little goodies.
Any other comments or questions or points to add? All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we are very close to finishing here. Do we have any board
No
member
way.
requests for future items this evening?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to, so back when Orangethorpe Elementary had the grand opening for the Sherwood Forest there was a discussion amongst some staff and one of the other trustees as far as potentially using one of the city's buildings for potential, expansion of some programs there. So wanted to see if maybe Dr. Pletka can reach out to the city and see what that interest is of either leasing out the space or renting it out to us in the future, potentially, see what that looks like. Or Dr. Coughlin, maybe reaching out to some city staff to see what that would look like if Orangethorpe needed to expand some more outdoor learning opportunities to kind of collaborate with that Sherwood Forest and the work that they're doing there.
The Brookhurst Center.
Yeah, the Brookhurst Center.
Okay.
So can you,
Dr. Coughlin, is that something that we could agendize? Is it something, we have one meeting next month and we have one meeting in March. Do you want to maybe do like a facilities update?
So I do know that facility, I think the city is looking to lease it out. I have no idea. I mean, probably the thing to do with direction from the board, I could talk to the city and just see, first of all, what's it about, what's in there, is it something that we need, and we could look at that. And I could bring that either back to the board, or I could give that information back in a communique and update, and then from there, if it's something we want to proceed with, then we could do that.
Yeah, maybe a communique speaking to Orangethorpe if there's interest, and if there is, what the city might be interested in. Is that okay?
Sure.
Trustee Talavera?
wait, so to clarify, is it what the city would be interested in, or what our school district would want to use with a space that's leased to us by the city?
There's it's not our property, but right on the corner there of that, I'm trying to remember that street that comes right into Brookhurst. There's a center that the city owns, and it's been vacant for some time. And I do believe they're looking for somebody to kind of take it over. And so the first thing is that the case? Talk to them. What are they looking at? I haven't been inside of it. I have no idea what's inside of it. Is it even suitable for students? But just kind of begin the discussion to see. At this point, I don't know if we necessarily have a need. However, it would be interesting to see what the city has to offer.
So just my understanding, right now all we're doing is we begin an initial conversation, first of all, with Orangethorpe. How might they use it? Is there an interest at that level? And if they were interested, again, just from a pragmatics piece, is it in operating quasi-condition, those sorts of things? And then just find out, does the city want to, as an example, lease it to us for $1 a year or something else? So we could at least just gather some facts, and we could send that in a communique. And then I think the next step is if you are interested in doing something with it, then you'd come back here and say, yes, please agendize it, and we would get it here. Or Rooney would just tell us.
Is Orangethorpe, yeah. And to refresh my memory, are they one of the schools that's named in the community school grant? No. Okay.
Okay, so communique. Orangethorpe. Along those lines, there's something that I've briefly spoken with Gabby at OC United about, and there's still some community concern that parks near our elementary schools are not necessarily safe after hours or during the weekends. And so I'm interested in speaking with OC United further, like to direct staff to maybe flesh this out, but something with the police department, and it's like a Saturday Night Lights or Friday Night Lights program that Valencia Park perhaps, or even Gilbert Park if the city were to get involved. But these are places that families are gathering but reporting that there are times where they feel unsafe. And so this is the idea would be like a positive tournament over a weekend, or a time when if we're all there and kids are there and it's lit up and it's like a community atmosphere, that the community takes back some of these spaces. So I think it would be fun and exciting.
So same sort of thing, we could just look into it right now and then send a communique, and then at that point agendize it, but we could do some fact finding.
Great, thank you. Anything else for the next meeting?
Bill, how's your shot? Fastball? Pretty good? Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, like a 3-on-3, maybe a couple students and an adult. I have a... Well, I know we have some really strong teams at our junior highs, so maybe like with an age limit, something practical. Hopefully nobody gets hurt, least of all our adults. Okay, any other items for communique or research or anything like that? All right, great. Well, in that case, then I'd like to go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Our next regular meeting will be on February 21st. We've only got one meeting a month, February and March, and I think April. So, yes, we are going to recess to closed session. When we come back from closed session, do we then officially? All right. Well, we're going to re-adjourn to closed session at 9:08.